Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm sure I just blew out some speakers and I can hear myself in my ear. Oh, God. My name is Alkali. This is Boozy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for Monkey Knife Fights.
Hello, how are you?
So, I am excellent. How are you, my friend?
I was hearing two of you.
Oh, only two of me? That's not
bad. Only two of you. I mean, you're loud, but I didn't think you were parallel dimension loud.
Well, we would set up the room, and Xander, who helped me with the microphones, kept moving the microphone farther and farther away. This is a green screen behind me. The microphone is somewhere in Florida right now, so it definitely has COVID.
Oh, it has COVID. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Everybody, my lovely daughter, Mint Kitten, has brought me some coffee. Honey, I need you to do something I always ask you. Could you give Daddy his special juice? Just the whiskey down there on the bottom shelf, the good one. Honey, Daddy told you which one's the good one. There we go. Thank you. Tell your therapist about this.
Have you trained the young ones as to which bottles you are referring to by code?
They have to have taste.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to taste it yet. So how are you accomplishing that?
Sample, then how will they know?
Oh, dear God. This is why they always go to bed on time, isn't it?
Listen, when you have a drunk toddler running around the house, you know he ain't going to sleep until he gets some Paw Patrol.
I'm sorry. You're talking to somebody who runs a convention. I know what it's like to deal with drunk toddlers.
So does Xander.
Hey, I grew up a little bit. I'm almost acting like a preteen. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to tweet about this. You're mean.
Everyone, hello, and welcome to Anthrocon Online. You've got mostly males.
I hate you so much. You even warned me. He's like, hey, I'm really sorry about my first line. I'm like, oh, you have things planned? I do hate you.
Oh, shit, I just spilled coffee all over myself.
Hold on. New question. We just went over this. I am in a 90-degree studio right now based out of my garage. You are in a 90-degree basement right now. What the hell are you doing drinking coffee?
Well, have you ever tried to put whiskey into ice water? It doesn't work.
Fair enough. Cheers.
Oh, I want to give, before we get started, I do want to give, for all of you out there, a very quick shout out to Toko and Freeze Frame and all of the people on the AV crew who helped put this together for you this weekend, since we cannot all be together in Pittsburgh. I cannot tell you what an honor it was to be selected to be one of the headline performers of Anthrocon Online. It was really a tremendous honor. I was very surprised to be asked, especially since no one fucking told me before last Tuesday.
Hold on, you got last Tuesday?
Oh yeah, like so I got a message on Telegram, because that's apparently the official communication network. I got a message on Telegram saying, here's your schedule. Here's your schedule for Anthrocon Online. And I sent a message to the programming director of Anthrocon. I went, hey, what the fuck is this? And he's like, we sent an email. And I'm like, no, you didn't. So it wasn't so much I was invited to perform. It was more like Kage bought me whiskey at the virtual Weston bar, and then I woke up in an internet bathroom missing both my kidneys and my dignity. So
wait a minute, hold on. I'm hearing all this. I'm hearing you got notified, you got whiskey. Xander woke me up 2 days ago and says you're on in 48 hours. What do you want to do? Actually, hats off to anyone for Anthrocon who realized the way to talk to me is by talking to Xander.
Oh, yeah.
Every message I get, I'm like, sounds great. And I throw my phone away like it's a carrier pigeon. I'm going to stop that sentence right there.
People tell me about things and they're like, oh, you're on this. But like, I went to a con. I was guest of honor at MCFC in 2019. I went there. Somebody walked up to me in the lobby and they're like, oh, I want to thank you so much for being on my panel. It's the first time I've ran it. It means a whole lot to me. It's at this time in this room. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And we got in the elevator and I looked at my wife and I went, who the fuck is that? And when did I agree to be on their panel?
It was MFF 2 years ago, I had one of the gentlemen from programming department run up to me. He's like, "We need your help. No one showed up for a very important panel. We need you to run it right now." And before I could ask what it is, where it is, or who are you, they had pushed me slightly to the right into a room and said, "And here's your panel host, Alkali." It was Fursuit Care and Maintenance 101. I spent exactly 30 minutes describing how not to defecate in your suit and telling stories of people who have come into security office having defecated in their suit.
Now, I said before we started, I said we are not looking at the YouTube chat. But I'll admit I'm a vain person, so I immediately brought up the YouTube chat to see if any of the jokes were landing. And I'm looking in there, and one person said, "It's Anthrocon. Could you please not cuss? It's supposed to be kid-friendly." And I do want to apologize. You're right. It is Anthrocon. It is supposed to be kid-friendly. Unfortunately, this happens every time they give us a microphone. And this time, Kage's not here to tell them to turn off our microphones.
You know, he has a cell phone. If he ever figures out how to use it, he's calling them and shutting us down.
It is 9 o'clock. He's been asleep for 5 hours. He had dinner at 1 in the afternoon at the Old Country Buffet, came home and went to bed.
Anthrocon is the only convention that the convention center gives a senior citizens discount. Let's just make that clear.
It is wonderful to be here, folks. It really, really is. Like I said, we were actually very short. And it wasn't. And I joked earlier. It wasn't due to anything with the crew. It wasn't. No, it's. We are horrible at keeping. Like, hold on. Hey, Alkali.
Yo,
high five. We are horrible at keeping track of things. Like both of us, terrible with it. We have to have people remind us of our schedules constantly when we're doing these things. Like this weekend, my parents are visiting. I see my parents 2 times a year. My parents chose this weekend to drive up when they found out I wasn't going to be in Pittsburgh. We planned things, but last night I had to tell them that tonight I needed to be home by 8 o'clock. So I could go sit in my basement and tell dick jokes to a lot of people wearing animal costumes. So, thanks for getting me disinherited.
Which, by the way, I hope everyone out there is staying cool in their fursuits. I'm sure a lot of people are enjoying this right now in them, and that is wonderful. I have finally broken into the fursuiting realm myself, not with a fursuit, but I bought an easy cooling vest just because when you're this large, honestly, it becomes a day-to-day accessory.
I like it.
Let's be honest, dude. I can wear it under my shirt at work. Everyone's like, "What is that soft noise?" I'm like, "Oh, it's the ocean."
I like that. I had to buy an easy cooling vest to keep from getting heat stroke. Oh, have you been fursuiting too long? No, the elevator was broken and I had to walk to the mezzanine.
Oh, the elevator broken. Man, you're in shape. I just pushed the button on the elevator and I'm out of breath. 27th floor? I got to raise my hand to that. I'm going to 13. This is where I work now. So, how's life been treating you?
How's life been treating me?
Home life, because I'm assuming that you're home all the time now, right?
Do you not have the news in Chicago?
Oh, no, we turned it off. It was too depressing.
Well, let's catch you up on some things.
Oh, thank you. Please do.
Let's see. In January, we almost went to war with Iran.
Okay, that sounds about right. How'd we fare?
I wouldn't know I ran.
You ran so far away.
Let's see. Then there was a virus, but we didn't need to worry about the virus. And turns out we needed to worry about the virus.
Don't get me wrong. I think we all need to worry about the virus, but let's take a second and look onto the positive side of this virus, because just a few days ago, I saw somebody living the greatest life they could possibly live. And that was only possible because of this virus.
Oh, really?
In the middle of downtown Chicago, on Congress Avenue, a street that would normally be called Car Crash Lane. I'll let you determine why. It was empty. Totally barren of vehicles except for my own. And as I'm driving home from work, exhausted, ready to crawl into a far too warm bed, I saw him. I call him COVID Larry. COVID Larry was shirtless on a bicycle. He was wearing what I can only describe as a leather skirt and a wizard's hat. This man was cosplaying as the main character from Midnight Gospel on the middle of Congress Expressway on a bicycle, arms out, just pedaling away. And I realized that he is taking this situation and making the best of it. So to everyone out there, and I know this is a horrible situation, but to everyone out there who's making the best of this, bettering yourselves, and just remembering that, well, do whatever the hell you want. This is COVID town now. I was so happy. It made my week.
Let me ask, your definition of living your best life is pedaling a bicycle shirtless with a wizard hat wearing a leather skirt in a major city.
There is none of those things that I could ever do, ever. I'm jealous of this man.
You certainly can, man. Take off your shirt and pedal away, baby.
Okay, first off, have you seen my center of gravity? If I get on top of a bicycle, I just go upside down immediately and just drag my skull across the street.
So you're saying you go from a top to a bottom in 3.5 seconds? I
hate you so much right now.
You know, the funny thing is, the funny thing about the pandemic that's killed millions is the funny thing is I live in Pennsylvania, so I do know for a fact that Allegheny County very recently went to green phase where you can start holding events again. So it is feasible that they actually could have held Anthrocon in person this year if they took proper precautions. But I'm pretty sure the reason they stayed canceled is the board of directors looked at each other and said, we know nobody's staying 6 feet away from each other here. We can't even get them to stop uncomfortably petting each other in front of CNN cameras. Social distancing is not a thing with this group.
But that's okay, and that's why we are both here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to announce the 6-foot pet stick. Hear us out. It's a 6-foot piece of PVC with a latex glove at the end. So it just kind of goes like this. But it's a PVC, so it's hollow, so you blow it up, and then you just 6 feet away.
I feel like that's something you would find in the adult section of Anthrocon.
Not the glove.
Why not? You know what they say? No glove, no love, man.
I got my whole household sitting around on the outskirts of the camera. They just collectively sighed, by the way. That means the joke landed.
How about you? How has the COVID epidemic been treating you?
I gave myself a mission, and that is to be a better cook. So far, I have failed about 9 out of 10 times, but the successes have been some of the strangest things ever, up and including a creme brulee cake that turns into a cheesecake if you put it in the fridge. I still haven't figured out how it works, but I've successfully done it twice. I will be putting out the recipe shortly. Don't ask questions. Don't ask questions. Dark sorcery is a fine cooking skill. Just watch Food Wars on Netflix. Totally counts.
Tell me you're eating curdled milk cake?
I'm sorry. Are you not eating curdled? You're from the South. Isn't that all you eat? Isn't that breakfast?
No.
Oh, I have drastically been misinformed about the South.
Breakfast is Jack Daniels and cold KFC.
Hey, you eat my cold KFC out of this.
I can't say that. I've got we have been door dashing twice a week since this thing started. And I've got 8 buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken in the fridge. So I can't say a thing. There's no skin on any of them, though. I don't know who, but I have a skin bandit who's going to the fridge. They're eating the skin, putting the chicken back. And I'm like, do we have chicken? And yeah. And then I open the bucket and there's no skin. I'm like, well, fuck it then.
start looking through your house. Eric Cartman has moved in. We are all aware of this now. You need to find him. He's going to start murdering dolls. Be careful, man.
Have you seen me? I am, Eric.
Oh, my God. You know what? We do respect your authority, Fur Dad, so good work.
Fur Dad, thank you. Like, I fear Father's Day because I'm like, it's so uncomfortable to have my kids come over and go, Happy Father's Day, Daddy. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I open up Twitter and I'm like, Happy Father's Day, Daddy.
That's okay. For Father's Day, I received a gift through the mail. I realized after the fact it was a necktie. But when I opened the package at first, I just looked at how it was made and thought somebody sent me a noose. So thank you, wonderfully dark humor individual. I love you.
There are so many things I could say right now, but it's a PG-13 stream.
I know. That's why I said that.
You're a monster.
That's how I short-circuit him.
You're a monster.
So I should tell you, we had an incident at the house.
Yes.
One of our favorite lawn decorations is now null and void. We were having a fire. I had drank a few.
Mm-hmm. Always a good choice.
Always. I had much more to go. I put it into the fountain and had a fire fountain for a while. And I thought it was one of the most gorgeous lawn decorations I could have possibly had. There's a few problems with fire fountains.
Oh, there's more than a few.
Oh, no. Only a few, because after a while, the thing just melts. So then the problem's over. Then it's a problem for somebody else. Somebody in a long red car with sirens. This has been Alkali's PSA on don't drink so much.
I want to ask you a question.
You are more than welcome.
Is you set your fountain on fire?
Correct. I did set my fountain on fire. Well, mainly the top. You know, where it flows out. I thought the fire would stay to the top, and it did not. Fire flows.
I've visited your house.
Yes.
When I was there, you did not have a fountain.
Well, I keep up the tradition. No fountain anymore.
Are you telling me in less than a year you bought a fountain?
One, yep. So far, so good.
Decision to fill the fountain with booze.
Yes, we're on the same page.
And then set the fountain on fire.
You know me so well. But it worked with the fire pit. I set that on fire and no one complained.
Fire!
All of a sudden, you got a problem with fire. All of a sudden.
You know what a fire fountain is called in nature?
What's that?
A volcano!
I have one of those too. We smoke out of it. I miss you so much.
I understand you all had a smoking implement for fine tobacco made of ice.
Fine tobacco. It's called fizzy cherry cola.
No. When you purchase them in states where you cannot purchase them, you must refer to them as a water pipe for the smoking of fine tobaccos.
Oh, very fine. Delicate even.
And you had an ice-based one?
We have two of those.
What happened to the first one?
Oh, you mean what happened to Kirk Kabong?
Yes.
Kirk Kabong, don't forget, it'll blow your mind. Well, that one was destroyed on a stream.
Yes.
There is a stream with Pepper and Xander. I believe it was politics. What was it, Xander? It was political in nature. And in the middle of the stream, you just hear Xander, a smashing noise, and then hear, oh, bleep. So it may have died a horrible death, but at least we have video evidence of its demise.
So you're telling me the ice pipe was destroyed by Xander?
Yes, the ice pipe was destroyed by Xander.
So Xander abolished ice.
God damn it. Wow.
I have been saving that for 3 fucking months!
Holy shit.
you and I performed together, and I'm like, oh, great, I'm using that the next con, and fucking surprise!
You held a joke for 3 years.
3 months! It's a good joke!
It's a very good joke. That joke is going into the Joke Hall of Fame, right next to that bomb. Hold on, let me make it clear. Let me just really quick recap what's happened the last 10 minutes. We've taught everyone how to put a fire feature in their backyard. We've talked about smoking implements, and you said the F word like 8 times. We are never getting invited back to this con.
Dude, I did a bit about sex with bagels last year. We're good.
Fair enough.
Hey, wait a second. No, we're not. We are nowhere near that point yet. There's only one shot of Irish cream in this.
Oh, God. So, it is an absolute pleasure to see you again, my friend. I'm so glad that we can do this.
It is. I'll tell you what. I have missed you.
I've missed you too. But I do appreciate the random messages you send me about your job.
Oh, I've had some winners.
I know.
I had a guy come in, and at the end of my consult, he took out of his pocket a little rubber band. It's like, looked like a Cheerio made of thick rubber. Anybody who's raised on a farm knows what this is. It's a castration band. It's what you place around the testicles of animals that you are about to castrate. And the gentleman looks at me and says, so would it be criminal if I put this in someone's mailbox? And I'm looking at him and I go, I don't know what that is. I know what it is. I'm just not going to admit I know what it is, so I don't have to answer the question. He goes, oh, well, you see, when you're castrating a sheep, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
You see, a sheep is like a ewe, but older. Now, if I remember correctly, didn't you once have a piece of Tupperware in a filing cabinet for an extended period of time? I got rid of that. I was wondering. I thought that's... Please continue. This is something the world needs to know.
Attorneys for a period of time, if you don't know, I am a lawyer. Attorneys for a period of time in my state have to retain documents from a file. It's called the retention policy. And in my state, it was 5 years. We have to retain evidence from a case for 5 years in case the client wants it back. Now, I had a case when I first started practicing where a lady had come in, and it was a case against a contractor who had been working in their home. And the lady is going through all the damage they did and then said, and then he, is it PG-13?
Yeah, it's PG-13.
Then he defecated upon
yeah.
my floor. And I went, pardon me. And she goes, yes, would you like to see pictures? And I went, yeah, I kind of do. So she went out to the car and came back in with photos and showed me the photos. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like she took out her iPhone or a disposable camera, took a few snapshots, took them to Walmart, got them printed off, brought them in. No, these were like studio quality photographs of a chunk of human fecal matter sitting in the middle of a floor, like different angles. There's backlighting. Like one of them had the laser background there and just the tramp with her in a badly knit sweater. It was something else. And I went, oh, well, okay. And she goes, could you DNA test it? And I go, what? And she goes, well, could you DNA test it? And I go, why would you ask this? Now, sometimes when you're practicing law, you know that you have hit a point where you are asking the one question too far. And I thought the one question too far was, why would you ask this? Because she responded, oh, well, I have it in a Tupperware container. And I went, oh, do you? And she said, yes. And I said, and you're saving the Tupperware container? And she goes, would you like to see it? And I went, yeah, kind of. So she went out to the car and brought in a Tupperware container, which she then opened. And I don't know what I expected to find, but what I did find was a chunk of human fecal matter with a laser background wearing a badly knit sweater. So anyways,
Mr. Potato Head got dark.
Yeah, like I got googly eyes, put it on it, little ears. It was wonderful. Pixar optioned the rights.
I hate you so much. Well, I'm glad you got rid of it.
Well, the best part of it was when I had the contractor in the deposition. I'm like, did you defecate on her floor? And he's like, no. And I go, would it change your answer if I could present the poop?
Please, I need to know what his response was.
He didn't respond. However,
that's
we
a
settled
smart man. Smart man.
Now, the thing is after we had the file retention, and like nobody ever really asked for their file back. So 9 times out of 10, you just hold the file for 5 years and then you destroy it, right? You send that letter like, hey, we're going to destroy it. This person, I really wanted them to take their file back because I had a Tupperware container filled with fecal matter.
Yeah.
Mr. Poop-tato Head.
What do you file that under, by the way?
S.
Okay, cool. I was wondering. I was very curious about that.
Sitting in my drawer, and I wasn't really sure how I would give them back the original and yet retain a copy. I assume Plato would have been involved. But anyways, they didn't respond to my letter. So this year, Mr. Poop-tato Head went to his eternal rest.
Please tell me you flushed him. Please tell me.
I burned him. That got me. Yeah, what got me is like she put him in a Tupperware container, like really nice Tupperware. And all I could think was, man, I would have hated to be the one who had to burp that to keep it fresh.
Oh, God. Well, I will let Fox and Pepper know they have competition. For from this day forward, you shall be known as the Scat Man.
Don't you kink shame me.
There's a drop down on so many pages.
So many. By the way, I want to thank our AV crew for setting this up to stream through Anthrocon TV and YouTube, because the other option was Pornhub, and God knows that would have been embarrassing because then my grandma may have seen it.
You know,
guys, chat, calm down. It's cool. My grandma's been dead for years. We just got her a Wi-Fi enabled coffin.
Oh my God. So, speaking of coffins, the cemetery near me is really bustling lately. Oh. I believe I have thank you. I appreciate it. I believe I've told you about the youths that live at the end of my block, actually the last house before the graveyard, who got into a massive amount of trouble 2 years ago for lighting off aerial bombs in the street while people were leaving from an event.
Wait. They live next to the cemetery. They were lighting off aerial mortars as people were leaving an event.
Okay, so there was a lot of
shoot off fireworks at a funeral.
You are very close.
I better be accurate because I love these kids now.
Well, you're about to love them more.
You don't know. He could have been a real piece of shit. Maybe we did need some fireworks.
Well, these youths have not been seen at the end of the block this year, and I'm very surprised. In previous years, all the way up to 4th of July, just mortars going off every few days. We get a nice little fireworks show, but at least their parents must have shut them up by midnight. Well, that's apparently no longer the case, because a few nights ago, apparently the Bone Daddies had a full fireworks display. There is a hole, and I love how smart these kids are. There's not a hole in the fence down the street. They didn't jump no, right next to their house, there is a cut part of the fence that has been pushed aside like the curtains to a stage. That they went out to the graveyard and did something that, as a youth, I would have loved. They had to have wired everything together with a slow-burning wick, lit it, and then went back home and set up lawn chairs. Because now we're hearing nonstop fireworks for a good 2 minutes. We go outside and see that the damn cemetery is celebrating Mardi Gras. Just everything going up. And the two guys who did this last year are sitting there in those old-fashioned like fabric folding chairs, and without missing a beat, one of the huge aerial mortars go off. They don't even look at each other, just from each other's chairs. So I love my neighborhood. Cemetery leaves a little bit to be desired. Oh, did I tell you a plane crashed in the cemetery? Yeah, a little prop plane, a 4-seater. They started finding bodies. They're up to 47 bodies so far. They keep digging and finding more. About 400 dead is what I'm assuming.
Look, you got to give it to American Airlines. They really cut off those layovers on the
American Airlines, you don't know where you're going to land, but you won't be in one piece.
Do you think the pilot sat there like, please place your tray tables up. We are approaching your final destination.
You won't have long to go. If you want to jump now, you'll at least get 3 feet down. Only 3 more feet. Come on.
Like you're a stockbroker. You handle a lot of money for people on a daily basis. I'm a lawyer. People's freedom rests in my hands. This is what we do with our free times. But you know what? There are jobs that are much worse for people with our personalities. And one of them has to be commercial airline pilot. Because if you gave me like a speaker and the ability to talk to 100 people that I have in a flying tube, they can't leave, things are getting bad. Like I've got to get out of... ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude, 10,000 feet, and I just wanted to let you know I'm scared of heights, and I have a tendency to pass out.
This is your captain speaking. If you notice anything on the wing, you're hallucinating. Enjoy our dinner of mushrooms.
Folks, thank you for flying with Delta, and I got to tell you, I think I may still be a little drunk from last night.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have oversold this flight, so don't mind all the people sitting in the aisle. Don't worry, this is FDA approved. FDA approved. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody on the flight who has gone through a very nasty divorce, could you please let your stewardess know my wife called me last night and I need a reason to live?
Ladies and gentlemen, cockpit.
That's it, just cockpit.
Cockpit. It's me. It's exactly what I would say every flight.
So I bought a house.
I'm so happy for you.
I bought a house in the middle of the pandemic. Then at like 4 a.m. today, my homeowner's insurance sent me an email that said, congratulations on the purchase of your home. We are happy to insure you. By the way, trim back the trees that are overhanging your roof and paint the outside of your house or we're canceling your policy.
Oh,
and yeah, I gotta say, I was not aware Liberty Mutual was my HOA. But I am a big believer in compliance, and they told me I have to paint the outside of the house. I assume because it reduces the risk of loss. So I've spent my day Googling what house colors make you more likely to get robbed because Daddy needs a new Samsung.
I'm sorry, hold on. You think that you're going to get somebody to rob your house based off your paint color when you just told me that your entire concept of air conditioning is based off of stolen AC units that you purchased out of a van?
Yeah, I was about to, there wasn't a van, first of all. It was
what was it?
It was a 1981 Ford Ranger.
Innocent.
That's a truck. Secondly, I don't know they were stolen. I just assumed nobody was legitimately selling AC units in downtown Philadelphia for $20. But I didn't ask any fucking questions because I got ACs.
Yes. Now that you're a homeowner, allow me to tell you some of the wonderful things that you have to look forward to. Now, I know you already know this being a lawyer, but for everyone else out there, just so you know, when you have property, there's a certain amount of that property that is not yours. And you can maintain that property until you can't. And I don't mean like you can't physically. I mean, until your city decides you shouldn't have cut that tree, now we're going to fine you. And that is where we are dealing right now. So behind this garage is an alleyway. And that alleyway is horribly overgrown. And I thought, how can I deal with this? So once the flaming fountain thing did not pan out, I bought a bunch of poison. And I spread that all over the back of my garage, hoping that these trees would die. Well, they did. But you know what happens during a drought with a lot of really dead trees in the back of your lawn and the tendency
with the flaming
to
fountain
on fire? Yeah, nothing like that. Somebody backed into one of the trees and it fell over onto their car. Now, it did no damage. It's a very tiny tree. So no problems there. But as this is getting reported, I am talking to a representative of my local community. He goes, wait a minute. Did you poison these trees? Do they have rights now? I was not aware of this. Yes, I poisoned those trees. Like, you can't do that. That's not your property. Like, I live on it. I have created on it. How is that not my property? They go, oh, it's too close to the alleyway. I'm like, really? Is that how this works? Because I'm going to just start robbing people who are next to the alleyway, going like, the city said I can do this.
Sorry, not my property.
It's just some random dudes. It's the Monopoly guy's property. That's obviously what's going on here.
Oh,
the weird things about owning a house have driven me crazy for the last few years. I totally get if a tree branch goes near the power lines, you need to cut it down. Wonderful. I did not have the ability to cut it down. It was in the alleyway. They told me they were going to come and cut it down. That's great. But if you go into my yard and decide that no tree may be above 6 feet tall, by the way, trees that all start branching at 7 feet. So now I just have a bunch of wooden dildos in my backyard. How's your day going?
It was going fine until I imagined you sitting on a wooden dildo in your backyard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I run the Ninja Turtles? Because you can call me Splinter.
Somebody in the chat just said, I'm an offer. But after your statement, I misread that.
And what's that?
Hello,
God
Angel Fur.
I hate you.
Oh.
So do you have a thermometer in your basement?
A thermometer in my basement?
Yeah, because we have one, and right now it is 95 in this room. Please kill me.
I don't want to hear it. I have a dehumidifier in the corner of this lovely room that looks, I mean, like this is, by the way, to everyone watching, but I'm like, I'm going to buy the house and I'm going to make a studio to do my streams from and record in and all of that. This is it. This is what I got. A workroom that I painted green screen green, put up a bunch of booze and a Walmart futon in because I took one look in this room after we cleaned it out and I went, oh, this was definitely some old man's jerk off room.
I have a very important question for you about that booze shelf.
Yes.
Is it reinforced?
No.
Wonderful. This is perfect. If I visit you, where am I sleeping?
You see the Walmart futon in the old man's jerk-off room?
I do.
Congratulations, old man.
All right, so here's the plan. Everyone help me out with this. Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember Rube Goldberg? All I need is that song from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to lay down on the futon and kick your wall in such a way that the booze shelf slowly tips and I can just go, ah, and then it's your problem, not mine.
It's not my problem. It's not my problem. I've got a dirt floor in parts of the cellar. I can bury you.
I am 6'8" and over 300 pounds. You're going to need a bigger shovel.
It's a giant floor, man.
So, I hate to break the magic, but if you didn't notice, I'm not wearing the coat. Now, the hat is here, but the hat, that thing is a furnace right now, and I decided against it.
Yeah,
the coat... Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Tell us what you did to your coat.
I did nothing to the coat.
Tell us what Xander did to your coat.
Nope. Aria and Matilda. We have the rats. About an hour ago, while we were doing sound tests, I went inside and used the restroom. I took off the coat and hung it on the chair next to the rat cage. Now, these rats, like legitimately, I don't know if anyone else out there has rats as pets. Hands down, I'm so shocked as how good of a pet these rats make. They are wonderful. They have personalities. They are sweet. They are loving. I love these pets. But with love comes caring and games. And one of the games that we like to play is taking the robe belt and putting it into the cage and them going, oh, this is for the bed. And they'll try to pull in the robe belt. And we play a little tug of war. I put my coat too close to the cage. And when I came out of the restroom, my entire sleeve was in the cage. Now, I love those rats. And rats are amazingly clean animals, but not their cage. In fact, we bought them a bed, and they mistook it for a toilet, which has ups and downs. So there's a piece of fabric in there that they constantly poop in. On the other hand, they leave the rest of the cage relatively clean. So this is easier to clean for us, fine. Poop in the bed, kids. Poop away.
Oh.
Right.
All I picked up on was poop in the beds, kids, poop away. And I did not know me and you were members of the same fraternity.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Were you a frat bro?
Yeah, I pledged Lambda Chi.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a frat bro.
I say I pledged Lambda Chi, but about halfway through, I decided that I would much rather, get my friends the honest way instead of buying them.
Oh,
so had absolutely nothing to do with my brother accidentally burning down the frat house.
Nothing whatsoever. Did he have a fountain?
No, he did not have a fountain. He just had a complete lack of common sense.
Oh, I know what that's like. I was also young.
Oh.
No, college was interesting for me. I didn't really do the whole frat thing. I kind of stayed away from that. But we had our run-ins. I was computer science floor. I was in charge of an improv troupe. I ran Nero, the LARP, where we literally took most of the computer science floor and went out and did all these wonderful LARPing things. But, if you LARP, you need practice. And when you have a football field that's just not being used, I went to NIU, they have 3 football fields. The third one was basically pointless, so we went out there and we LARPed. You haven't lived until a bunch of drunk frat bros see you beating each other with swords, and a few of them start doing the normal college thing where college boys, oh, you guys are dorks, until one of them goes, that kind of looks fun. And all of them look to their leader and go, yeah! And then we got black eyes. Because there's a difference between LARPing and gently hitting each other with the foam sword. Ah, yes, I attack. Bam. Ah, yes, of course you blocked. And them going like, I play baseball. So it was an interesting night at least.
You see, I went to college for a year, dropped out of college, went to go work on boats for several years, then went back to college because I got tired of actually working for a living. So when I went back for my sophomore year of college, I was the oldest person in my dorm. Which made it very uncomfortable for the people who were supposed to keep me under control. Because they were like, you can't drink in the dorm room. And I'm like, I am 22 years old. I don't want to drink in the dorm room. There's a bar across the street. I will get shit-faced there and then come back here and cause trouble because you can't throw me out. So
that's funny. You sound like RRA.
So you have stories like, oh, we were LARPing and the frat boys got together. And I have stories like, well, those call boxes where you dial a room to be let into the dorm? You know what I discovered when I went back to college?
What's that?
Those are actually on a phone line. And they can make local calls.
Oh, dear God.
And if you call them, if you use that box to call your cell phone, at least then, you would get the number for the call box. And then if you called that number, the call box would pick up automatically and broadcast whatever came through. So I had on an entire campus of the University of Kentucky kind of a pirate radio network where we would put something on speakerphone and call in 5 or 6 different dorm call boxes and then play on repeat, I wear my sunglasses at night.
Oh my God.
Which led to the RA one night walking out, and my group of smokers and I are sitting out front listening to that. and the call box music goes off because they would disconnect. So I said, okay, well, I'll go take care of this. And I went up to my room and I dialed in the call box and I put it back on speaker and started playing. I wear my sunglasses and I went back down and everybody's laughing. I go, what? And they go, dude, the RA for our floor just walked by. And I said, yeah. And he said, you know, I should ask you all, we've gotten reports of the call boxes on this campus doing weird things like saying, you know, feed me your soul when people are getting ready to swipe their cards to get in, because we were definitely hiding in bushes waiting for people to walk up and then calling the call boxes.
Oh my God.
I'm like, no, we don't know anything about it. We know nothing about it. No. He goes, okay. And he turns around and walks in the door, and then the call box comes on and they hear my voice go, I now return you to your regularly scheduled program, and start playing I Wear My Sunglasses at Night.
Oh my God.
It was so bad, he was referring to us as Boozy and his merry band of ruffians.
Dude, we had pranks, everything. As a computer science floor was kind of weird. Like, our pranks were pretty tame, but my roommate actually realized, because he was doing some kind of engineering class, that he could change the pitch on his subwoofer, and spent an entire day trying to figure out how to make things fall off the shelf 2 rooms over by using a subwoofer. That was a blast, because he was wrong a lot. The floor above us had a shit ton of complaints. But I think one of my favorite memories is actually, I don't know if this is actually funny, but I want to tell it just because it was so cool. I had a friend who was, at NIU, you had RAs per floor, and a certain building had RAs per tower. So you had floor RAs, tower, and then you had one RA who was the RA for the building, and he got the penthouse on top of I think a 10 or 11 story tower. He got this dorm room, which was as nice as anyone's condo, but had a balcony on the back. And that balcony, 11 stories up, looked over the cornfields of DeKalb. Horrible scenery until a storm started moving in. And one day he called me up. He's like, you got to get up here. There is a major storm for moving in. This is beautiful. You got to see it. So I rushed over there. We go up there. We're hanging out on his balcony, and we start drinking. And I don't mean we started having a cocktail. I mean, these are bottles that I don't want. Let's make sure they're gone. And as we're sitting there, this storm rolling in, it is legitimately one of my favorite memories. I could still picture it perfectly clearly, especially the moment where we realized that we were too drunk to really understand the situation, as a lawn chair from next to him flew past him, past me, and over. So a tornado was forming, and we're sitting outside 11 stories up. We're starting to notice that maybe if we had the door open, we could have heard all the alarms and sirens going off. And we heard them, but we thought it was rap music. We don't know the difference. We were white guys. So now we're just screwed. And we're like, well, what do we do? Your entire front side of the condo is made of glass. Where do we hide? And he looked at me in deadpan, in a panic, goes, I think my grill is really heavy. And then we just left.
Well, I got to, I actually started taking disability cases recently.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it's always bothered me, honestly, just to be blunt, how people are like, oh, they're on disability, like they're lazy, right? Especially people who have like kids on disability, because they're like,
people that say that.
Yeah. Oh, they're lazy. They put all their kids on disability. Like they're sitting there like, well, gee, little Bobby, we weren't going to go to Disney World, but then your brother got hit by the car, so cha-chang.
Oh no.
I mean, because it's hard. I've got 2 kids with disability, and it's hard as a parent. It costs money to do that stuff, and like it's not easy to get it. Like you always get denied. Like it is so difficult to apply for disability for a child, and this is not a lie. Go to the Social Security website and look at applying for disability for a child. There is like a help manual that is called Child Disability Starter Kit. Right. And I read that and I thought, man, they could have titled that a little better, because the way they've titled it, the Child Disability Starter Kit, it sounds like it's a program where they just mail out like Marlboros and Jack Daniels to every pregnant woman in Iowa.
Here's a BB gun. Have fun. Oh, my God. All right. Most dangerous toy you've ever owned.
Oh, God.
Most dangerous toy you've ever owned.
Oh, like every toy that you gave me could be made dangerous. Like I had a Red Ryder wagon, and that's not dangerous on its own, right? But then we decided we were going to make a roller coaster, so we hoisted it up like 2 fucking stories into a tree on the logic that when we cut the rope, it would fall at a 90-degree angle, ride straight down the trunk of the tree, and zoom out into the yard. Then we climbed in to test the theory. So, you know, like, thank God we tested it out on my friend's little brother first, or we may have really been hurt.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
But on the good side, his parents got disability afterwards, so they went to Disney World that year.
Yeah, they had to apply twice. That sucks. See, ours wasn't. I didn't think it should be a bad one, but my brother got marbles after seeing Home Alone, and the rest of the story tells itself.
You see, my parents got my brother a BB gun and didn't realize what a sadistic bastard my brother was. And like, but they wouldn't believe that my brother would do, like, they would come home and they're like, what did you all do? Well, because like during the summer, my brother was like 3 years older than me. My sister was like 6 years older than me. Right.
Right.
So my sister would be nominally in charge of watching us, but like she was going swimming at a friend's house. So fuck that. She was leaving me with like Attila, the older brother there. And my mom would be like, what'd your brother and you do today? And I'm like, well, my friends came over and then he duct taped us to chairs and told us to give him the code to the, to the cable box. It's like, oh, no, he didn't. We're like, yeah, he did. And he's still tied up. Like, and that's like, I say that and people are like, oh, you're exaggerating. I'm like, no, that actually happened. Like I had friends come over once when I was a kid and my brother was watching us and my brother walked in the room with the BB gun and he's like, okay, one of you is going to Kroger's and getting me cookies. I'm like, we're not going to go get you cookies. And he's like, oh, I think you will because I've got your little friend in the garage.
So I have owned one BB gun. It was a BB handgun I got from a friend of mine who, just to give you context, as of right now owns a safe that I would fit in filled with firearms. If a zombie apocalypse happens, I'm still not going anywhere near him because I don't think he should own guns, but that's neither here nor there. He gave me his, I can only describe it as a pistol. But instead of it being like a pullback, fill the air chamber, it was a CO2 cartridge pistol, rapid fire. All you had to do was load in. It could take 10 to 20 pellets. I can't exactly remember. You put in the CO2, and as fast as you pull the trigger, it would go off. My parents caught me with it when I got home. I did not have it in my possession for even an hour because I am that dumb as a child that I was so suspicious walking into they didn't even like, what do you got? My mom's like, do you have a BB gun? I'm like, damn it. So they took it and they hid it. And I wish that was the end of the story because they hid it because my dad saw a purpose, because my dad loves the bird feeder in the backyard because there are 3 robins that have been like, there's just always tons of cardinals, red cardinal, red bird. And he put that out in the feeder and squirrels, those evil bastard squirrels, they would get in there. I'm sitting in the living room that has a window looking at the backyard. And my dad comes around the corner of the house holding the gun like he has used one of these for his entire life, ready to go. Comes around the gun, and I just hear as he shoots the hell out of his bird feeder, just destroys the thing as the 2 squirrels on it remain perfectly still. No damage whatsoever until the bird feeder comes off of the holder and slams into the ground. Both squirrels running in opposite directions. My dad comes inside and says, got him.
Well, if we're going to talk about squirrels, I have a story for you as we wind down.
Absolutely. Before we do that, can I do one thing?
Go ahead.
First off, Don't forget, my name is Alkali. I'm part of the Dragon Show. Guys, you all helped me set this up. Could you all get in here for a second? Thank you so much. I could not have set this up without everyone. Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Like he's got an entire AV team. I've got a kid who walked in and gave me a cup of coffee at the beginning. So,
so do your outro first in case we have to end like right away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Boozy. You can see me at cons doing stuff. You can also catch me over at twitch.tv/Boozy Badger. That's where I stream most of the time. There's a YouTube channel out there at Boozy Barrister on YouTube. And yeah, obviously I do crap on Twitter. So
guys, thank you again for joining us. Boozy, I would love to hear your BB gun or whatever the heck we're talking about story.
So I assume that during this pandemic, you've been talking to your parents, right? Like making sure they're okay and stuff like that. As of right now, I would say I have the best relationship with my father that I have had in my entire life. And I can safely say this is the first time I've had a relationship with my brother, which is interesting. It's actually brought us a little bit closer together. So my parents live several states away. And during this, I've been talking to them. And I found out that my mother had made a habit during the pandemic, since they weren't going anywhere, of taking her coffee every morning on the back patio of their house. They have a covered deck area, and she would go out there. She would sit in the little chair in the covered deck, and she would have her coffee. And apparently she got a visitor in the form of a squirrel. And the squirrel started edging closer and closer and closer. And my mother started taking out stuff and tossing it to the squirrel in the morning. The squirrel came in. And I get a picture in a group chat one morning, because my mother formed a group chat, of this squirrel sitting on the chair with my mother while she's drinking coffee. And on the chair. And my father, who does not text, is in the group chat. He sees the picture and he sends back a message that just says, we are not adopting the squirrel. And my mother sends a message back, and it was a picture of an Amazon receipt with a small dog dish and an order of grains and nuts.
You have a brother, and he's nuts.
I mean, we got to get my mom another dog or something, because since we moved out, she's just losing it.
She's got a squirrel.
Well, we have 15 seconds left. So once again, thank you all for joining us. Somebody in the chat said too much cussing. We are sorry. We're not on a stage. We have a habit of not being able to control ourselves when we're not on stage and we're having these conversations like this. But thank you all. I hope we brought some joy to your evening. To the folks at Anthrocon, we will see you next year. To the AV team, thank you so much for setting this up. Once again, a serious and honest shout out to Toko and Freeze Frame. You all are awesome. Folks, I am Boozy Badger.
I am Alkali. Good night, everyone.
We'll see you in 2021.
Can't wait.